So that's a good place to wrap up our MLS for this week. But now we got to move on to our rapid fire predictions for week 3. We're gonna start keeping track. So for all of you
All right.
watching, we're gonna start keeping track. So don't you guys worry. But
So we know who's
it's just
actually good.
yeah. So we know who actually knows what we're talking about. But with Tyler not here this week and us being out of town this past weekend, it's just better just to get into it, talk about what we need to talk about, and then make sure we can get a nice track up for it when
All right, I'm
everyone's
gonna
back.
show it. I'll
So
pull it up
let's
on the
get
screen
this
right
up
now.
and let's run through these, and then we're gonna close it out after this, talking about the first round of CONCACAF Champions League. And then we're gonna move on to Europe.
All right, let's go quick. Charlotte versus Atlanta. Plus 120,
That's
plus
very
120
interesting.
for Charlotte, plus 230 for the draw, and plus 190 for Atlanta. I'm actually kind of surprised with this. I'm going with Atlanta, and I like the money.
That's a good one because of the odds, but that's interesting odds. I would have to say a draw here. I don't think the way Charlotte and Atlanta have been going, I could totally see it being a 0-0 or a 1-1.
Charlotte can't win at home. That's my thing. That's my
They
big.
can't,
They
but the last game though was interesting. I don't know. That's where I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stick with draw. Atlanta is definitely the better
also
team, but
also too for all the fans out there, just betting on the MLS is not advised. It is so fucking hard
I
to
I don't
predict
bet
these
on I don't bet
games.
on soccer. So if you are a bettor, I literally will parlay anything but soccer. I won't do it.
it
I
is
won't do it.
it is so hard to bet on soccer,
I
but
will
we're
not
just
do
gonna
it.
do it anyways because it's fun and we can
Yeah,
talk
this
shit
is for
about
fun.
who's better.
Yes.
All right. Vancouver versus Dallas. Vancouver is not off to a strong start. They do have Champions League. I believe tonight they play. We're recording on a Wednesday. But they're about to play the buzzsaw that is FC Dallas. Vancouver is the home favorites at plus 135. Dallas plus 180, with the draw being plus 230. I'm actually going to go with Dallas on this one. I get MLS has big home field advantages, but Dallas is just too good, and I don't think Vancouver's going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that the way the Dallas's front three played is a fluke. It's going to be Dallas.
All right. DC United versus Orlando City. Home team DC United plus
Oof.
120, Orlando plus 195, with the draw being plus 230. Orlando off to a very, very shaky start. They paid a lot of money. Everybody was overhyping them, saying that they're going to be MLS Cup contenders because of all the talent they brought in. But the first 2 weeks haven't looked good. We're going to get into Champions League. Didn't look good there. DC United, also not a good squad. I can see this being a draw, like a
I could
1-1
see it
draw.
being a draw, but I think DC, I think they've been getting, aside from their one win, I think they've been a little unlucky in their last game.
I don't
I
think
don't
has
think they played
Orlando scored?
horrible. I think so.
Oh
They
yeah, they
like
did.
didn't
Yeah,
they
they did. Yeah,
sneak
yeah.
in like but they like snuck that in. So I'm gonna pick DC for this one. I think DC can
Okay.
can get it done at home. I think Wayne Rooney's gonna get his team to show up.
All right. This is a really good game. I might go back and watch this after the Miami game. FC Cincinnati at Seattle. No, not at FC Cincinnati versus the Seattle Sounders. Home team being FC Cincinnati with the minus 105.
That is
Uh,
very interesting.
Seattle plus 230, with the draw being plus 260. Man, this is tough. But I'm leaning. I like the money for Seattle. Seattle, I think, is back. We haven't really like spent a segment on that, but like Seattle is back and ready to go. Their squad's pretty much the squad that won the Champions League is pretty much entirely intact. Rui Diaz is still out, but they signed Herber from NYCFC, which was a solid striker over there, and he's been playing super well for Seattle. Um, I'm gonna go with them. I mean, Jordan Morris is like
Yeah,
surprisingly a man on a mission.
I'm gonna agree
Yeah,
with you. I'm gonna pick Seattle, and I think that we would definitely will be talking about them, and we'll have a
yeah,
segment about them being back and what
yeah.
happened to them last season if they continue to win.
But don't be surprised in the tie because Cincinnati is a really good team. They should be one of the top teams in the East. Their attack is very lethal. Um, and I see why they're the favorites because they're a good home team as well. But
Yeah, I see that, but they definitely
see,
had a rough 0-0 game against Orlando, so I could
I'm just
totally
surprised.
see
I'm
Seattle.
surprised by the odds. The odds really
Yes, the
shocked me.
odds are very interesting, but yeah, I could see it happening, but I think we're both going to be Seattle on this one.
I'm picking straight away teams, buddy.
Yeah, I know,
All
right?
right.
This is away, away, away.
All right.
Oh boy.
Toronto versus Columbus. Toronto plus 110, Columbus plus 210, with the draw being plus 240. So Toronto to me has their team to be like concerned about. Insigne still out. Bernadette outside of Bernadeschi, like what is that team? Like that, and they put a lot of money invested in that team.
Yeah,
Bernadeschi's been playing well. He had a class goal, honestly, like
very good goal.
on the
I
on
don't
against
think I
Atlanta.
think with Insigne out and with Bob Bradley as the coach, they're not going to win the MLS Cup. I'm sorry. I just don't think they could do it. With
I don't even think they
Michael
can make the
Bradley in the set.
playoffs.
I mean, maybe they can. Maybe they can. They have the individual talent to carry it through. Columbus, even though I said they were maybe a team that was going to struggle this year, I think they actually played decent against DC United, and this would be tough. This was tough. It's man.
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
go with
go.
the draw.
I'm gonna go with Toronto. I think they're gonna squeak it out. But this could go anywhere.
Yeah, this is a tough one to predict, but I think Columbus has so far played good. Even at 4-1 loss against Philly, they dominated that first half. Um, I'm gonna go with the draw. I can see this one being a
It's
draw.
fair. That's fair.
All right, New York City versus Inter Miami. New York City minus 140, Inter Miami plus 320, with the draw being plus 270. These are pretty big odds in favor of a New York City team that I do not think is very good.
Yeah,
Granted,
they're
this is going
not
to be their
very
first
good.
game
This is
in New York.
Yeah, and this is Miami's first game away as well of the season. So we have not seen Miami away.
And Miami in the head-to-head matchups, it is 6-0-1 for New York. We've only won one time
Yeah,
against New York
and
City, and it was at home.
yeah,
And
and you can
Miami still
argue
is
that we
yet to
could have won
prove
that
that they're
game away last season, but the red card did not help.
yeah, and Miami's just not good on that. New York is really good at home because they're used to that tiny ass pitch on a baseball
Yeah, so
field.
that could be interesting. I think that has to do with the odds there. Um,
But I'm
if
gonna
you
go with the
believe in
draw on
Miami, if
this.
you believe in Miami, I didn't believe in Miami last week, so I think I have to this week. I'm going to take Miami.
All right, I'm gonna go with the draw because I'm really worried about that small field, and Miami has yet to prove to me that they can be good away team.
Yeah, we haven't seen it.
Um,
It's definitely a big question mark, but
but I think they are the better team overall. Which is why I think we're gonna get out of there with the draw, which I think is a win in my book.
I would agree. I would take a draw.
All right, Philly versus Chicago. Philly minus 250, Chicago plus 500, with the draw being plus 360. Philly coming off of a pretty bad outing against the Salvadorian team in Champions League last night. But they're coming back with their full squad um, against Chicago at home. Give me Philly. I don't think
Yeah,
Chicago
I'll
is
take
good
Philly
enough.
at home all day.
All right. Nashville versus CF Montreal. Nashville minus 120, CF Montreal plus 290, with the draw being plus 240. CF Montreal slide continues. They are last place in the East. What a fall from grace. And
Yeah, it's
Nashville,
what a
I
shame.
believe, is still unbeaten at home after in their new stadium.
Wow.
I believe they're still unbeaten, or at least have a very good, very, very good home record. I'm not super high on Nashville, but they are a very good home team, and they are a grindy, gritty, like squeeze games out type of team. And I'm going Nashville on this.
Montreal. I think you said it all. Nashville are great at home, and Montreal are just on a terrible slide right now. I don't see how they could win this game.
All right, this one should be interesting. So Minnesota United versus New York Red Bulls. Minnesota plus 155, New York plus 160, with the draw being plus 210. Both teams, I know Minnesota is still out with a couple players, and New York just hasn't been able like they were a team that coming into the season we thought were going to be pretty good. High Eastern Conference seeded team, but they have yet to really put it in the back of the net yet. Um,
Yeah.
I see a pretty even affair. I'm going to go with a draw.
I was gonna agree with you. I definitely could see it being like a 1-1 if you
Is
asked me to predict the
Reynoso
score.
is Reynoso still out for Minnesota? I know he's like their star.
I could check, but I don't know for sure.
I believe he is.
I don't even know where Minnesota, when did they even play? Oh,
Ah, don't worry about it. Whatever.
who knows?
Let's go
We'll
to
figure it out another time.
yeah. let's go to the next one. Kansas City versus LA Galaxy. This is I actually think is going to be a pretty good game. Kansas City plus 225 125, LA plus 175, with the draw being plus 240. I'm actually going to go with Kansas City. Kansas City has looked not bad in the attacking sense and being able to create chances, but they cannot finish. Um, I did watch them play against that full Portland game, and they just cannot. They had a lot of good opportunities. They just couldn't get it in. That Portland keeper had one hell of a game.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
think
get to
it's
see
gonna
too
be.
much of last week. But Galaxy, like we were saying, like they scare me. As long as Chicharito's gone,
Yeah,
I don't really have faith in them to score.
and I think
So
with Kansas City creating chances, I think against a shaky LA Galaxy defense who didn't have the best game to open the season, I think that Kansas City will probably have more luck with finishing. So I would pick Kansas City as well.
all right. Real Salt Lake versus Austin FC. Real Salt Lake plus 110. Austin FC plus 200, with the draw being plus 240. Hmm. you know, I don't, I'm going to go with Austin on this one. I think they need a get right game, even though they won last week. I still feel like they're better than what they played these past 2 weeks and last night in the Champions League. And I think this is a time for them to like get things organized and get a win on the road against Real Salt Lake, which would be a big win for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've had an interesting start, and that CONCACAF Champions League game was not good, regardless of what team they put out. But they're better than what they've been doing, and you would expect them to get it together soon. I'd take them to win as well.
All right. San Jose Earthquakes versus Colorado. Um, San Jose minus 110, Colorado plus 250, with the draw being plus 260. Colorado's still a young team. San Jose has been a scrappy team, I think, these past 2 games, and they ended up getting their first win at home last week. I'm going to go with San Jose for the win.
Yeah, I don't like Colorado. I think they're rather poor. They had a decent game against Kansas City. They could have definitely had a goal there. It was taken away for, I believe, offside.
Yeah,
Um,
who's that? They have a 17-year-old kid that
yeah, they
supposedly
have good
that
talent.
they're
They
pretty
have
highly
good
rated.
talent. They looked decent defensively, but at home, I would pick San Jose.
All right. Portland versus St. Louis City. Portland minus 110, St. Louis plus 250, with the draw being plus 260. I think St. Louis's run is going to come to an end when you get to Providence Park. Portland, I
Yeah,
think, is they're
difficult
just the
place to
better
play.
team. I think Evander is going to be a really good player in this league. He got his first goal last week against
Yeah, in
LAFC.
Portland, yes, they did lose 3-2 to LAFC, and the scoreline was probably a little kinder on them. But I think that they're a good team, especially at home.
Mm.
That's a very difficult place to play, and
Yeah.
St. Louis are gonna have a tough one.
Yeah. Portland is still missing Jimmy Chara too, which is their
Yeah,
DP center,
yeah,
and he's one of those sneaky like good guys that just really good
yeah.
players that no one talks about, but
hmm
he's really good.
And it looks
But
like that
Portland,
is the Sunday game. Is that correct in the
okay,
last game that we have, or do we
yep.
not?
Last game of the week, LAFC versus New England. We talked about New England. Here's their first real test against a quality opponent, the
Interesting how it
former
says
MLS
Saturday. If
champion.
you guys are watching this, the game, I don't know why it
No,
says
it's on
it's on
Sunday.
Saturday. Does it
No, it
not?
says Sunday
It's
right here.
underneath. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, they
underneath.
confusing me with the fucking lines
Yeah.
there.
So
Okay.
here's a Sunday
Yes.
night. Little late for us on the East Coast here,
But hey, why
but
not?
this is actually a pretty interesting game. I think I really want to see how New
Yeah,
England competes. Where I was talking very highly of them. Let's see how they do. It
yeah.
is minus 230 for LAFC, um, plus 500 for New England with 340 for the draw. I think LAFC is going to win this game.
I
But I
agree.
would like
I
to
think
see New England
LAFC is going to
compete.
win as well, but if this is where we're going to see if New England are going to be the real deal this season or if they are just going to be middle of the road.
Or at least compete. If you can compete,
At least, yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. If they can compete, then we'll see. That's a good thing. I'm not. We both think they're going to lose, but we'll see how the game is.